Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world, a world of darkness. Nobody expected it. Nobody believed it. And nothing could stop it.
I'm telling you that thing upstairs isn't my daughter.
The one hope.
Now, I want you to tell me that you know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with my daughter except in her mind.
The only hope.
You tell me you know for a fact that an exorcism wouldn't do any good. You tell me that!
The Exorcist. Warner Brothers presents William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist. The Exorcist, directed by William Friedkin. The Exorcist, rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
Tremendous film.
Just turned my mind.
I thought it was very powerful stuff. I thought it was very, very good indeed.
Oh, well, I rather enjoyed it.
I believe. I believe, yeah.
Well, it's pretty disgusting.
Well, I wouldn't take my wife to go and see it anyway.
But I just found it really horrible. It just had to come out. I couldn't take any more.
Oh, it was about the horrifying film I've ever seen. Like,
really horrifying?
Yeah.
Because it will give a lot of people a lot of ideas.
I don't know. I shouldn't have thought it was quite as terrible as a lot of people were expecting.
On December 26, 1973, The Exorcist, a horror film starring the actress Linda Blair as a girl possessed by an evil spirit, makes its debut in theaters. It will go on to earn a reputation as one of the scariest movies in history. The Exorcist was based on William Peter Blatty's 1971 novel of the same name, about the last sanctioned Catholic exorcism to take place in the United States, in the late 1940s. In the film, Blair played Regan, a sweet 12-year-old girl who begins suffering bouts of bizarre behavior. When her concerned mother, Ellen Burstyn, contacts a priest, he recommends performing an exorcism. Max von Sydow and Jason Miller played the two priests who eventually conduct the exorcism at the home where Regan is living in the Georgetown section of Washington, D.C., directed by William Friedkin. The Exorcist was a huge box office success. The film terrified audiences to the point of fainting, in some cases, with scenes in which Regan's head spins, her body levitates and she vomits green bile.
I found the visual impact of it so very sickening that I thought I possibly might be sick. I suppose I'm quite squeamish anyway. They did a simple tracheotomy, which was quite bad for me anyway, and I just felt that I can't go on watching more of the visual impact when it's presented in fantastic, glorious Technicolor zooming right in on me.
I lasted the first 20 minutes, and I thought, well, if I've lasted this long, I must go on with it, but I felt really bad.
The film was nominated for 10 Academy Awards, including Best Director and Best Picture. The Exorcist is a 1973 American supernatural horror film directed by William Friedkin and produced and written for the screen by William Peter Blatty, based on the 1971 novel of the same name by Blatty. The film stars Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, Lee J. Cobb, Kitty Wynn, Jack McGowran, in his final film role, Jason Miller, and Linda Blair. It is the first installment in the Exorcist film series, and follows the demonic possession of a 12-year-old girl and her mother's attempt to rescue her through an exorcism conducted by two priests. Although the book had been a bestseller, Blatty, who produced, and Friedkin, his choice for director, had difficulty casting the film. After turning down, or being turned down, by major stars of the era, they cast in the lead roles the relatively little-known Burstyn, the unknown Blair, and Miller, the author of a hit play who had never acted in movies before. Casting choices that were vigorously opposed by studio executives at Warner Brothers Pictures.
Once there was a small girl who liked doing outdoor things and loved animals, and when she grew up she wanted to be a jockey or a vet. But that was not to be. Instead, she became a film star. She starred in a film that made people ill all over the world. She was sensational. She was a sensation. And everywhere that Linda went, the press was sure to go. And so she had to stop thinking about being a jockey or a vet and do all those boring things a star has to do.
come back. Just turn into that television light. It's a bit larger.
That's nice. Nice, small one.
That's me, Linda.
I did everything. Misty's she was signed up to be the double and everything, but then they found that they didn't need one. She does appear in 2 shots, not scenes, just real quick shots. And one of them is her back, and one of them is. Did you see the movie?
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, this one too, she throws up really slowly, and so that's the other one.
What she did in the film was repulsive and grotesque, and the world wanted to be reassured that despite it all, she was still an angel-faced, all-American cutie.
Linda, there are various rumours that you were affected psychologically by the film, which are no doubt untrue, but what is the situation? Did it disturb you in any way?
No, it didn't at all.
It didn't?
No, people, I think, they felt that I'd have to come out kind of with problems or something, and that's how it started. I don't know. But, no, I've never had any.
You haven't?
No, I haven't.
You had pet rabbits in your dressing room, I was reading somewhere.
Yeah, for Easter, I bought the family 2 rabbits. I love animals.
Linda, you have some animals in the set, in your dressing room as well.
I brought my cats every once in a while. I had some rabbits in there, and I raised some chickens. I hatched them. And so, I was always having little things in there.
You're very fond of it?
Very, yes.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Not a permanent one right now.
Oh, that's very good.
Ah.
And, that was taken yesterday. Remember when you went down to the daffodils?
Yeah.
In Kensington Gardens?
Oh, they've also got a still from the film in there.
Enchanting, the devil girl among the daffodils. Oh, that's lovely. Look, bewitched, bothered and bedeviled she may be on film. The 15-year-old Linda Blair, star of that controversial ex-epic, The Exorcist, emerged in London yesterday as a sweet, angel-faced, all-American girl visiting Britain with her mother. Looking enchanting among the daffodils of Kensington Gardens, Linda recalled the making of the movie, which has been criticised as one of the most sickening ever produced. She plays a youngster possessed by evil spirits. She said, "It didn't bother me very much. I wasn't disturbed in any way."
The world seemed duly reassured that Linda Blair had survived the making of the film with the chubby resilience of a well-adjusted teenager. Now, as an adolescent, she faces the possibly more traumatic ordeal of coping with the notoriety and the ballyhoo. Linda has lived with The Exorcist for close on 3 years, and so far she's stood up to it all remarkably well. She is, for a star, remarkably well-mannered, polite and patient.
Hello, Linda. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
How's the head, all right?
Oh, yeah.
No horns?
No horns.
If anyone's just joined us, this is Linda Blair, who is the star of perhaps the most controversial film around at the moment, a film called The Exorcist. Linda plays a girl called Regan, a 12-year-old girl who is exorcised. How old are you, really?
15.
And when you made the film?
I was 13.
She sincerely believes that she hasn't been scarred by the things she had to do in the film. It's the grisly business of stardom which seems more likely permanently to disfigure her. She may look like the girl next door, but the girl next door doesn't get racehorses for birthday presents. And the world's press doesn't ask the girl next door about blasphemy, vomit and obscenity.
I suppose you've been asked all these questions before, have you?
Basically, but there's some new ones.
Do you mind?
Linda has been asked all the questions before, but she's too polite to say so. Yes, this is her first big picture. She'd done a bit of commercial modelling before. Yes, she kept up with her schooling during shooting. She had a private tutor. No, it wasn't scary on the set. They had a lot of fun and goofed around a lot. And what, for the 1000th time, did her school friends think of the film when they saw it?
Well, most of the kids have seen it now, and they all really like it a lot, which is really good.
Yeah.
And, but, they don't treat me any different.
Through the hoops once more, contorting herself in the alien comfort of the Dorchester Hotel for the benefit of another photographer. This is Linda's first trip abroad, and she honestly does love London, what little she's seen of it. So far she's seen the Connaught Hotel, the Royal Garden Hotel, the Crown Jewels, and the Dorchester Hotel. And now, because she's been such a good girl, a real treat, a trip to London Zoo.
Linda?
But only 15 minutes at the zoo, Linda, and could you play along with the elephants a little longer, Linda, because the man from the Sun and the men from the BBC would like some more photographs, Linda. Only 15 minutes, because there's another appointment to keep. And besides, the word's got around that she's not just another girl at the zoo, she's that awful girl from The Exorcist. It's time to go. For the moment, she's in her element, with other super giggly girls who agree that for an American, she's jolly good on a horse. The hour is up, all too soon, and the time has come for the last interview of the day. Linda, looking back over the 2 or 3 years you've been involved in all this circus, have you ever had a single moment of regret that you've been caught up in it all?
Not at all, I don't think. No, I really am having a good time and everything.
No moment when it's all just become too much for you and you wish you'd never done it?
I don't think so. There's been a lot of work and things like that, but I enjoy it.
What about all those press conferences? I mean, I know you're a naturally sunny and bright person, but having to smile all that time, how do you keep it up?
I don't know. I guess I like people and everything, but it's funny because there's a few times and I'll have big press conferences and they'll keep saying, having all the cameras, and my mouth kind of sets in a smile. And it's really funny, but...
You get lockjawed.
Yeah.
Looking back over this time, what do you think you've most lost and most gained?
I guess I've kind of lost freedom, just walking around wherever I want and stuff. But I've gained a lot. I've really had a good time, and I've seen a lot of places, and pretty many, and I've met a lot of people, and I like that.
But doesn't it worry you that many people come to you because they have this sort of fascination about the girl who did all those terrible things?
Well, I've never thought of it as that way, but, I guess it doesn't bother me because they like what I've done. Or maybe they don't like what they've done, maybe they like the idea. But I don't know, it doesn't bother me, I don't think about it.
I think journalists queue up to see the girl who can hit a priest in the eye with a stream of vomit at 2 yards. Kind of ghoulish fascination.
They might, I don't know.
Do you ever worry about that, all the things you had to do? What about the language?
No, really, nowadays at least, I'm used to it. Like, people use it more of as an expression and everything. So I'm kind of used to it and everything, not all of it, but it was said and done quickly and over with. So it worked out well.
Do you still want to be a jockey or a vet?
No. No, I'd like to continue with acting, but still have the horses. Always am. I really, really adore it. And the showing and everything is what I like.
Principal photography was also difficult. Most of the set burned down, and Blair and Burston suffered long-term injuries in accidents. Ultimately, the film took twice as long to shoot as scheduled and cost more than twice its initial budget.
On December 26, 1973, in 24 selected engagements in the United States, William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist, directed by William Friedkin, opened. From the novel that had long been on the bestseller lists and directed by the man who had brought the French Connection to the screen, The Exorcist had long been awaited, widely speculated upon, and anxiously anticipated. But no one, no matter how close or deeply involved in the film, could possibly have anticipated what was to happen at every theater where this film played.
This is the second time we've seen it. It's terrific.
As many as I can possibly go. I love it. Try it, you'll like it.
Well, we drove 100 miles, so I hope so.
Fantastic movie.
It's really gross.
It was really terrific.
I want to see if it's going to make me throw up.
The Exorcist scored the biggest opening day gross for a single theater in the history of Los Angeles motion picture houses, and broke established records in every other theater where it opened across the country. In record-breaking, coast-to-coast first-week grosses, The Exorcist brought in almost $2 million at 24 theaters. In 6 days, The Exorcist surpassed all previous box office records at 3 theaters in New York. At Los Angeles, 2 more theaters were open. In Chicago, the pattern was the same, and the dimensions of The Exorcist experience broke on the motion picture world with an impact rivaled only by the audiences that continue to pour into all these theaters. It was, of course, first evident to the theater managers that The Exorcist was no longer just the most successful motion picture in film history, but had become an unquestioned sociological phenomenon, breaking out of the theater pages and television reviewers' hands to the city desk, the front page, and hard news on telecast from coast to coast.
I'm Harry Francis, manager of the National Theater here in Westwood. I've been in this business 40 years now, and I have never gone through anything like this. It's exciting. The public love it. Had crowds that you can't believe. We've hired 20 security guards to control the crowds. We're getting young people, old people, you name it, we get anyone. Last week in the rain, they stood as it was the sun today. Mr. Friedkin and Mr. Blatty felt sorry for the people. They hired caterers. They give out 3,000 cups of coffee each night, a total of 6,000. The public thought it was great.
My name is Randy Robbins, the assistant manager at the National Theater. We've had uncontrollable crowds, and to try and alleviate some of the problems of people not getting tickets that have been waiting long periods of time in line, we started a system of giving out coupons. Nobody gets a ticket without a coupon, and the way they get them is just by taking a place in line, waiting from 3 to 5.5 hours, and then purchasing their ticket with it. Only one coupon is given per person, and they can't buy a ticket without it, regardless. So what we do, right now it's 4 o'clock, we're giving out coupons for the 8 o'clock show, which will guarantee them a seat, so they won't have to worry about whether they'll be getting in or whether they won't be getting in.
My name is Donna Yearwood. I'm a cashier here at the National Theater in Westwood. We are showing The Exorcist right now, and it's absolutely fantastic. We have people coming. This morning they were standing in line at 4:30 in the morning for the 10:30 show, and we've just had sellouts every day. About 2 hours before the performance even begins, the people we've already got enough people in line to sell out the theater, and they remain in line, and people who know they won't get into that show will go to the end of the line and wait for the next show. Sometimes we'll have our 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and the midnight show sold out before 6 by the people that are standing in line. And they'll stand in line in the rain, they'll stand in line under all kinds of conditions, and they all seem to just really enjoy it when they come in. We've never had anyone complain about the wait being too long for the kind of movie it was. Everyone just really felt it was great. And sometimes even they stand in line for 5 and 7 hours. We've heard some of the people say they've been standing in line that long. And they'll come in and they won't be able to watch the whole movie because it's just too much for them. And they'll come out after about an hour, but they don't complain about standing in line.
I don't like it. I want to go home. Makes my heart beat too fast.
I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much. But I guess it bothered her more than it bothered me.
This is the second time we've seen it. We still can't hack it.
No.
Why was that? I'm not going back in there.
All the people are pretty good about it. We've had to have a lot, as long as we have a lot of help, then we can help the people as fast as we can. And they don't mind too much. They stand forever.
My name is Jamie Spinn.
Oh, my name is Karen Howard.
My name is Robin Ellison.
We work here answering telephones and
fixing popcorn and drinks when it gets really crowded. Yeah, when they first let everybody in, everybody runs, and they're like a stampede, and they scream like there's riot going on.
Slow down, please. Slow down. All 3 doors, please. Just move down to the other door.
Just the other night, this guy came out, and I looked out the door, and he was lying on the floor.
He's really big. You wouldn't have expected.
I know. All these big guys, they come out, and they look like they're ghosts or something. And
they ask for smelling salts and everything.
It's not the kind of people you'd expect to faint. Yeah.
It didn't scare me. I don't know what happened. I just fainted. It was frightening.
My experience with this movie has been incredible, especially with people fainting. Halfway through the movie, the movie starts getting quite violent, and people get quite unusual reactions, and we have a lot of people throwing up and a lot of people shuddering. But the thing that really surprises me is people faint. I mean, I've never in my life known a movie where people would faint. I mean, it's hard to make people faint.
If she ain't out here, he will.
Well, as soon as they faint, I get out the smelling salts, and we have two kinds. We have a little bottle with smelling salts, and I uncap it, and I hold it under their nose, and they come to, or else we have the little pellets, and I break them, and then they come to. And most of them, once they fainted, they don't go back into the picture.
The crowds were so intense at all the theaters that they became a police concern. Uniformed guards were hired in all instances to keep thoroughfares clear and prevent violation of the lines.
Form a more orderly line. You're blocking the sidewalk.
It's something I never saw in my whole entire life. This is something different. And I went to a lot of movies, but I never seen nothing like this in myself.
This way.
This way. Theater's upstairs. Theater's upstairs.
All the way down. All the way down here, please.
Please keep your line in. We will get you picture. Please moving back in. Move back in here, please. Please move in. We won't get your picture.
Right, we came yesterday for the 3:45 showing, and then we came back again for the night one, and we stood in line, but nothing. We didn't get in, so we wanted to come back again today.
She turned her head around.
Oh my God. It's probably the grossest thing I've ever seen. Oh, it's weird. She turned her head around.
So why don't you just step out so I can get
She turned her head around.
It's not that bad.
God, I was so scared when the bed was shaking and like her back.
She's going up and down.
And then when her voice changed, oh my God, I've never seen anything like it.
Did you see the part where she turns her head around?
Not yet. I'm not gonna see it either.
It's gross. What is that? Yeah. That is one of the most grossest movies in the world. It is. I ain't never took my coat and put it over my face like that. Seriously, man.
It really was.
Seriously.
It was a good movie, but it was really bad.
I tell everybody go see it.
All the major networks covered the Exorcist phenomenon in hard news stories.
David Sheehan is with us tonight to talk about a movie that has people passing out in the lobby on their way in or on their way out, David.
Well, you've heard about all those reports about The Exorcist and the trouble it's causing, people fainting and so forth. I went to check it out. The manager of the National Theater in Westwood says that there indeed are at least a dozen people who faint or become ill during every showing. But The Exorcist is still drawing sellout houses for every performance, complete with lines around the block. I spent an evening in the lobby just to see if people really do come stumbling out in the middle of the picture, as reported. They did, so I asked them why.
It just scared me to death. Things just like this, really scared me to death. I'm just nervous.
Do you remember what particular scene it was that...
When she was in, what was it? When she was in a room, the doctors came in, and I guess it was when she was talking the devil's voice. Oh, God, I can't believe it.
Are you going to go back in and see more of the movie now?
Probably, yeah.
What are you going to do right now?
I don't want to see it, but my curiosity's killing me. I have to see it.
I fainted like 10 minutes after the first beginning of the movie. And I walked out, and they gave me some water.
I passed out in about the first half hour, yeah.
Do you remember what it was, what scene it was that affected you so much?
Convulsions, when she took convulsions. Because I have a little girl, and it was like watching my little girl.
I think it's disgusting.
Why?
I don't know, it doesn't, it doesn't make me want to get sick like everybody says. My legs are just going, nyeh, and I want to go in the lobby and not watch it, and I have to cover my ears.
What was it that made that happen?
When she started talking like devil coming out of her.
How about you?
I can't even describe it. It's so horrible. I don't know why I waited 4 hours to see that.
The devil mater did it, I bet. The fact that people do wait 4 hours in line and then go back in to see more after they've fainted or gotten sick, I guess it shows how far some people will go for the thrill of being chilled to the bone. And judging from my long night in the lobby, the people most susceptible to being profoundly upset by the film are those who went in believing in the devil, Roman Catholics especially. As a matter of fact, the Pope himself is being quoted as part of the film's publicity campaign. Demonology, he said, is an important part of Catholic doctrine that really ought to be studied again. And on that level, some psychiatrists are calling The Exorcist a dangerous movie because it does give credibility to a variety of superstitions, including the devil myth and the power of ritual. So it may be true to some, The Exorcist might be dangerously convincing. To me, The Exorcist is nothing more than a fantastically well-made and very shocking chiller, or thriller, if you prefer.
KABC TV in Westwood.
It's frightening.
Do you think she'll go back in?
I don't know. I have a friend in there alone, and I don't want to leave her in there alone. So I probably will. But it's just, it's incredibly frightening.
As well as hard news coverage on local television stations. From San Francisco.
Triggered by the compelling story of The Exorcist. It focuses on an adolescent girl possessed by the devil, and the ghoulish horror which results has been captured in one of the most shocking films in years. And the crowds love it. They wait outside the North Point Theater through 2 or more performances to get in. One close estimate figures 100,000 people have seen The Exorcist since it opened 4 weeks ago.
Atlanta.
Excuse me, but the 7:50 feature is just sold out. If you want to wait for the 10 o'clock feature, tickets don't sell at 8:30.
Has anyone said to you, don't go see The Exorcist?
Many.
Why?
Scary.
Well, I hope that the game goes well. Did you just bring cards, by the way, or is it something that you planned ahead of time? Or did you go out and buy them?
We planned ahead of time to bring them because we heard about the long lines.
Well, I hope when you get in finally to see The Exorcist that you do enjoy it and that you don't get too frightened and have to return to the card game. Thank you.
Thank you.
Why do you believe that The Exorcist is worth such a long wait?
Well, I've read the book, and I'm just more curious than anything else, I guess.
Well, have you heard any discouraging things about the film?
Yes, I have debated on whether or not to come, really, but my curiosity got the better of me.
St. Louis.
I wouldn't advise it for children. It's very mind-impressing, though. It's good. It's very good.
Do you believe in it?
Well, I'm a Catholic. It makes me want to go and go to church.
I thought it was excellent. I really did. I thought it was very good.
Did you believe it could happen?
Oh, yes. Anything's possible.
Possession by the devil?
Well, I'm not saying it has happened, but I'm not saying it hasn't either.
Detroit.
Yeah, the part where she started spitting all the green stuff and, ugh.
Are you going to go back in as soon as you compose yourself?
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't have to look anymore, though.
You've walked out of the movie 3 times?
Yeah, 3.
On 3 different occasions?
Yeah.
You work here, so you've seen the movie several times, or tried to, right?
I tried to, right.
And you still haven't seen it all the way through.
No.
What keeps hanging you up?
Movies.
Philadelphia.
How did you like The Exorcist?
I didn't like it.
Why didn't you like it?
Afraid of it.
It was really scary. It was a really good movie, but it was really scary. I would want to see it a second time.
It was a very different picture, and it takes you way out. And I wouldn't want to see it again. A person, the author had to be part of the devil himself to think of such ideas. My nerves are shot.
The Pittsburgh Press headlined The Exorcist, an experience in hysteria for some viewers, saying there were 1,300 standing in sub-freezing weather for hours at a time. The Boston Globe insisted that The Exorcist is not for the faint-hearted. About 5,000 people daily are getting a dose of psychic horror. The Los Angeles Times reports The Exorcist causing fainting and fleeing. Some trembled, others sought the privacy of restrooms. Majority stared into space. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch says suburbs showing The Exorcist aroused by traffic congestion. The San Francisco Chronicle headlines their story, Weird Goings On. The Milwaukee Journal blared, fans line up to have stomachs turned. In Toronto, the Star gives a whole page to The Exorcist on one day with news photos of crowds lined up in freezing temperatures and a report that the picture is keeping the ambulances busy. And finally, cartoonist Conrad reinterpreted the basic advertising art for The Exorcist as a political suggestion. The New York Times said the United States is going to the devil. Later, the New York Times devoted a section front page headline to speculation on the cause of the Exorcist phenomenon and did a full inside page in that same section on the people waiting in line. On major radio networks and on local television throughout the country, psychiatrists and priests queried the makers of the film and each other on the meaning of its public impact.
I must confess that there were times when I had to force myself to look at the screen.
Why?
First of all, I knew what was coming because I had read the book, and secondly, because it is a subject matter which obviously is, well, let's put it this way, it seems to me that it touches very deep areas of the human personality. And unless one is very insensitive, I can't imagine anyone either reading the book or seeing the movie without it having some reaction on them.
The Exorcist is with us now. The movie made from William Blatty's book. It may well prove to be more than just a volume or a show. It may well be remembered as one of the phenomena of the 70s. It seems that Chicago, like ancient Gaul, is today a city divided into three parts. Those who have not yet seen the movie, those who have seen it and want to talk about it, and those who have seen it and don't want to talk about it. I'm here in Hollywood today talking with the two men who are responsible for the remarkable success of The Exorcist, and they are author William Blatty and director of the film William Friedkin. Did you realize when you began all this that you're going to have such a phenomenon, or were you just trying to make a decent, honest living?
I was quite confident, just looking at the dailies, that it was going to be quite a phenomenon. Well, perhaps not to this extent, but I was convinced when I saw the very first rough cut on a moviola that Billy had put together that I quite frankly believed it was a film masterpiece, and I do.
Interesting now. See, he uses the same phrase that I do, Bill. He calls it a film masterpiece, and I admit this. I have some questions about its contribution to theology and religion, but as to say it's not one of the greatest entertainments we've ever seen, we can't deny that at all. But do you think that you're really making a contribution, say, to religion and to the understanding of theology?
I was very much so. Father Woods to the contrary. On the most brutal possible level, it is an argument for transcendence, is it not? No one can deny that, possibly. And secondly, note the theme. I mean, we have been preoccupied for so long, and so bothered by the problem of evil. How can there be a God, and how can, with so much evil in the world? And the film asks the question, or implicit in the film, is an even greater mystery, a more puzzling question. How do we account for all of the good? If this is a mechanistic universe, if this were a materialistic universe, when the atoms that compose us should be rushing to serve their own selfish ends quite blindly, how is it that a Father Karras can give his life for someone that he doesn't even know, for this putrescent, quivering mass of flesh that is reputedly Reagan McNeil? How can we have love like that? How can there be love in a mechanistic universe? So that, we pose that question. Then there are sub-levels that out of evil, very often there comes good, which does come out of this world. And, Damien Karras' problem, the Jesuit psychiatrist in the film, is that he's rejected his own humanity. He is so hung up on the animality of his human nature. We can locate it all in the gastrointestinal system. This is probably chew food. We have to swallow it. Did a good and beautiful God create us? And is this what is in his image? From that rejection, he goes to the refusal to believe in God. He feels, if there were a God, how could he possibly love me as I am poor? And that, I think, is part of the reason for the very violent reaction of most viewers of the film. Because the demon, I mean, Damien Karras, the priest, is the target of the possession, not the little girl. And she is attacking his weak point there. That's what you have the problem. Bestiality of human nature. That attack is also being made on the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And how they cope with that.
But in the end of your novel, I think the ultimate action of Father Karras, and I really don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to give things away to people. But it's somewhat ambivalent in the novel, and it's not ambivalent in the film.
It is not ambivalent in the novel, Father. In fact, although you see, even in the film, I've talked to people, the president of Warner Brothers, I realized the other night, who did not really understand what was happening at the end of the film, because... Yeah.
Or through the middle.
He was in a state of shock, you see, and he thought the demon took Karras out of the room. In the book, there is a line of dialogue that you hear from upstairs by Karras, the demon is first entered, which is the clue to what is happening. Most people have to be caught up in the amount of the excitement of the moment. But it's there, and of course, I suppose you're going to raise the question of, is it suicide? I hope not. I hope not, because suicide is, after all, isn't its essence an act of despair? Yeah. This, in fact, is an act of divine love.
Yeah. But you see, I think, Father, too, that the greatness of the story is that it is possible for people seeing the film to take away from it their own explanations for all of these things. Any story that is so clear-cut that it points at you, and tells you what to think is not something that will have any lasting reverberations in your mind. It's not something that will make you think further upon what you've seen. The greatness of Bill's story is that it has lasting reverberations and raises profound questions, I feel. Now, maybe it doesn't provide the same answer to the same person, but I think that's what makes art. Everyone looking at a great painting doesn't get the same feeling from it. Now, I think I'm not a theologian, and I came away from the experience of the film with an enormous respect for really what the vows of a Catholic priest mean, and really the bottom line of church doctrine. And I have never, outside of through your good offices in Chicago when I was working in television, even been exposed to the meaning behind the words. I was always impressed by the beauty of the ritual, but not by the meaning. And I think any work that gives an audience, whether they are believers or claim that they have no belief, which to me is total insanity if a man claims he has no belief, any work that can raise these questions for someone has to be good for theology in general, I think. That's why I think the work has theological value, even though I don't think we have any license to claim it as a work of theology. It is a work of the imagination. And one of the functions of entertainment is to stir people up, to arouse them, to create controversy.
A sermon through which one sleeps is utterly useless. We're all agreed upon that. But one other thing I want to mention about the reaction of the audiences, who are frequently fainting and coming out shaking, nerves to extreme degrees. I really think that they are not only feeling the full brunt of the attack of the demon, but I think and I hope what is happening is that their unconscious is apprehending that that horror on the screen is ultimate father to, ultimate ancestor to, and the ultimate destiny of cheating your brother and calling it business tactics and every other, what we think to be a minor sin, all sin, every little evil claims that as its blood brother and its father. And I think that's what shakes people up. I talked about this before. He said, and I think I quote you correctly, he said, well, isn't this going to be one of the great problems that the church faces in the future? The existence of evil and the battle of good and evil. And I think my reply to this would be something else. I think the biggest problem that the church faces, and I speak of all churches, is that of mediocrity. Yes. Thing. Mediocre people, mediocre leaders, and even mediocre doctrines. Now, you take the good and evil. Here's what I'm getting to now. The good, saying the church, would be epitomized by the concept of the crucifix and the sacraments. It interests me that, and I know this is true, that in exorcism, holy water is used and somehow respected by the demon, but the crucifix is not respected by the demon. And nor do we ever bring a consecrated host into contact with the demon, to my understanding. And I'm just curious as to why. I'm sure you people have read a lot more about possession and exorcism than I have. It simply didn't seem to be dramatic enough.
Well, they
my first responsibility was
I mean,
in
point of fact, though, see, in exorcisms, they don't bring the host. They do bring the holy
They do.
water.
Yes. No, the 1949 case, the host was in fact used. In fact, there was a little detail. The boy was on his stomach, apparently in a state of trance, or certainly unconscious. And the exorcist held the host. He was shaking. He held the host to one leg, which was shaking and quivering violently, and it seemed to be soothed. It stopped, and he would move it to the other leg, and it would become quiescent, and the other leg would start shaking again while the boy couldn't see it. I just remember that particular detail. He did use the host.
There are other religious symbols. Well, I'm surprised, Bill, and Father Banahan, when I hear the brief and few and far between criticism from churchmen of this concept of a personified evil. I'm really surprised, because if the basic tenets, again I'm speaking as a layman, of the Catholic faith are that Christ was the Son of God, rose again, that there is an afterlife, that the Blessed Sacrament and the body and blood of Christ are real and not symbolic when the host is taken, then it is not a great quantum leap to the possibility of a personified devil. As as you well know, the Pope's statement, which is quite recent, when the Pope spoke about this whole issue of a personified evil, his statement was very clear. One of the great needs of our time is a defense against that evil which we call the devil. We are all under an obscure domination. It is by Satan, the prince of this world, the #1 enemy. The devil is not forgotten by the church. He is the occult enemy who spreads errors and disasters in human history. He is the evil and crafty deceiver who knows how to creep into us. He is a terrific reality, mysterious and awe-inspiring. This obscure and disturbing being does exist. Now, the Father speaks of he and this being. He does not speak of an abstract metaphysical force. and so, I'm surprised when churchmen take issue with the Father on this point.
Yes, Father Woods has stated in Time magazine this week that he does not disbelieve in the possibility of possession generally, but I happen to have been privy to a letter that Father Woods wrote to Father John Nicola, who was one of our technical advisors and an expert in these matters. On the first page of that letter, which I still have, Father Woods announced his determination to run down, discredit the 1949 case on which I based the novel. On page 4 or 3 of his letter, he asked the most fundamental questions possible about that case, revealing that he didn't know the first thing about it. So I don't believe him when he says he believes in the possibility of possession. He had already set out to discredit it on principle. And while he's quibbling over fine points of theology, what is he to say about the letters that I have received from religious, mostly Catholic, I must say, who have found somewhere in the novel, at least, some answer to a problem of faith, some fortifying of their faith, some absolute uplift, insights that revived and restored their faith. I have countless letters like this, not only from lay people, but again from priests and from nuns. Isn't that a lot more worthwhile than quibbling about whether the devil is tempter or possessor or whatever he might be?
But that is the function of philosophers and theologians, to quibble, to talk about language. Now, you see, what our big argument that we discuss...
quibble, but not pontificate.
Oh, very true. And I can't deny that at all. He might say, though, the same thing about you guys if you're pontificating.
No, when I
I
read the
think
Pope
that's
to
a
you,
valid answer, so you own either part.
Father, I'm curious. When I read the Pope's statement to you and you chuckle, you know, do you quibble with the Pope? Do you disagree with the Holy Father?
What I try to do is determine what he really means.
Well, it's clear.
No, it's not. See, no. Words, you see,
must be in another universe.
No,
very clear to me.
Words are symbols, of ideas. You must use words, particularly when you're talking to other people. When you talk with technical people, when you talk to doctors, doctors have a language of their own. Lawyers have a language of their own. Theologians have a language of their own also. Wait. See, when the Pope talked there, he was talking to a large crowd of people, not the theologians.
Not us.
No, possibly. But he used the word he there. I do not think you consider that a positive theological
it's more than
affirmation
the Father here. Text. He said he read the full text at the time it came out.
Father,
he did not simply say he.
Here's what's very important about this. The Pope deplored that in the revised rite of baptism, less emphasis is put on exorcism, the part in which the priest orders the devil to leave the person to be christened. Quote, I don't know whether this is realistic, the Pope said of the revised baptismal exorcism he himself approved 3 years ago as part of the reform of church services. The devil is not forgotten by the church. He is still with us. Now, Father,
why do you think now the Pope is contradicting himself? He approved the rite 3 years ago, and now he's saying I don't approve of it.
Father, I think a man can change his mind about certain points, but I think it's essentially clear from the Pope's statement as we get it. And this is from the New York Times, the first article. The other one is from the Los Angeles Times. These statements that I read, Father, as I say, they're ones that come to us translated into English. I don't speak Italian. I wasn't there when the statements were made. There's another statement from the Pope wherein he says, Satan has a host of other devils at his orders. The Christian, he said, must fight a struggle in the dark, not against one devil, but against an awe-striking plurality.
But, you see, we have to use words which are symbols. For instance, I'm going to use a word now and say it's a symbol. Suppose I say the devil is a symbol. Now, you would probably conclude from that I don't think he's real. Let me use another word. A crucifix is a symbol. Now, one, the symbol is real, and two, it represents something else which is real. So when I say the devil, I might be talking about the traditional figure with the horns out of his head and the long forked tail, see, that comes down. That's a symbol of perhaps a reality. Maybe your statue of Pazuzu is a symbol of a reality. But remember, we have to work in symbols. That's how we communicate.
As the director of the film, I have to tell you that I personally am not making a case for a personified devil. I haven't, nor have, on the one hand. On the other hand, I do not take issue with the Holy Father, obviously, or anyone else.
I'm the last one to try that, too.
All right, or anyone else. I personally am not saying that I believe there is a personified devil. I believe that The Exorcist must be taken as a parable of good and evil. You know, to me that is its most important.
Fine.
Its most important function. I don't believe that the message of the film ultimately is that some guy walks around with horns or looking like Pazuzu. There are many ways to take this story. There is an essential way that it must be taken as the classic struggle between good and evil. But the importance of the film, whether you accept the personified devil or not, is that the film is dealing in the mystery of faith, dealing with the mystery of faith, the mystery of goodness, as Bill points out, and as he created it. It is not about whether or not there's a guy out there.
Fine.
You know.
Fine. Okay. We're up a blind alley with that.
But the important thing about it is, if you're showing evil, you can't make this evil.
Nice.
He can't be just not a very nice guy. I mean, those manifestations of evil in our lives that we know about, Hitler, Stalin, Manson, the people that have, with no reason on earth, to blindly destroy their fellow man. These people had more going for them, or inside them, I think, than an abstract metaphysical force.
Let me cite two examples of what I call what-if literature. Now, one of the what-ifs would be the famous C.S. Lewis book, Screwtape Letters. Yes. And it said, what if we were able to get some letters from the devil to sub-devils and how to torment the human race, based on the concept of what if. Brian Moore's recent novelette that was turned into a television show called Catholic was what if, 15, 20 years from now, if the church changed itself dramatically, what would the conflict be with the conservative Catholics and the new breed of Catholics? And I think sometimes people get confused in the what if. Would it offend either of you if we characterized The Exorcist as a what if type of production?
Of course not. That's how I saw it when I read it. When I read the novel, I was obviously as moved as the millions of other people who read it. But it wasn't until Bill told me and put me in contact with the research into the actual case upon which he based his novel that I felt there was a lot more to it than allegory. That if this particular boy in the actual case, young girl in the film and the novel, was not possessed by a demon or possessed by anything or any force, then he was a victim of a disease for which there is no name and no cure. And the point of the novel and the film is that medical science, internal and external medicine, went as far as it possibly could to try and diagnose and effect a cure for this victim, this afflicted person. There was no possible cure. The only alternative to a formal exorcism was incarceration in a mental institution for further study. Now, in the actual case, the 1949 case, which was widely reported in the Washington Post, the Washington Star News at the time, in this actual case, the exorcism was performed as a kind of last resort, and it was successful in the sense that the young man is today leading what we would call a normal life, has a family of his own, and to the knowledge of those close to him, has no recollection of what happened to him when he was 14.
And what we have presented in terms of the murders, the characters, etc., all that are all fictional, but the symptomology of possession as manifested in the girl in the film and in the book, and the paranormal phenomena come from that case. They are authentic, even to the point you'll notice in the film that it's never clear that the girl really understands Latin. And that was so in the actual case. There was never intelligent dialogue. There was just the sitting around it. Now, however you interpret it, that's what happened. Billy has called the film a realistic look at inexplicable events, and that's what they are. One may choose either possession by an alien intelligence, which is happens to be malevolent, which we can just as easily call a demon or a devil. Or one can choose to accept that perhaps the mind controls unconsciously certain energies which we're not familiar with. And that's what makes bedside nightstands in a hospital float up to the ceiling in the presence of a professor of, I'm not sure, I think physics from Washington University in the 1949 case. I think it strains credulity to imagine that these paranormal phenomena in so concentrated a fashion are caused by some unknown process of mind, when they seem to happen mainly when someone thinks himself or announces himself to be somebody else.
Let me ask a final question now to both of you. Good religious people taking a look at a demon or a devil, as shown in The Exorcist, or in many other things that have been written about it, sort of feel that they're out of the league with the demon. And they think to themselves, if I ever came into confrontation with them, it'd be like Biola Academy's football team being pitted against the Vikings. Not the Vikings and the Dolphins. They're completely out of the league. And so they're terrified. So if you two were betting people, if
could you give them some consolation? You think that you could bet on good conquering evil? Speaking as an old street-wise fellow from Chicago, Father, not answering as a Catholic, I would have to say that before I bet either way, I'd have to call Jimmy the Greek.
That'll be our next program. Thank you, Bill Blatty. Thank you, Bill Friedkin. Most enjoyable. I'm sure the people in Chicago.
Within a year of The Exorcist's release, 2 films were quickly made that appeared to appropriate elements of its plot or production design. Warner took legal action against the producers of both, accusing them of copyright infringement. Abby, released almost a year after The Exorcist, put a blaxploitation spin on the material. In it, a Yoruba demon released during an archaeological dig in Africa crosses the Atlantic Ocean and possesses the archaeologist's daughter at home in Kentucky. Director William Girdler acknowledged the movie was intended to cash in on the success of The Exorcist. Warner's lawsuit early in 1975 resulted in most prints of the film being confiscated. The film has rarely been screened since and is not available on any home media. Later in 1975, Warner brought suit against Film Ventures International over Beyond the Door, which had also been released near the end of 1974, alleging that its main character, also a possessed woman whose head spins around completely, projectile vomits and speaks with a deep voice when possessed, infringed the studio's copyright on Regan. Judge David W. Williams of the United States District Court for the Central District of California held first that since Blatty had based the character on what he was told was a true story, Regan was not original to either film and thus Warner could not hold a copyright on Regan. Even if she had been a creation, she could not be copyrighted since she was subordinate to the story. The writers of the FBI film had also further distanced themselves from an infringement claim by having their possessed female, Jessica, be a pregnant adult woman. However, he found that some of Beyond the Door's advertising graphics, such as an image of light coming from behind a door into a darkened room, and the letter T, drawn as a Christian cross, were similar enough to those used to promote The Exorcist that the public could reasonably have been confused into thinking the 2 films were the same, or made by the same people, and enjoined FBI from further use of those graphics. As of 2019, The Exorcist has grossed $441 million worldwide. Adjusted to 2014 prices, The Exorcist has grossed $1.8 billion.
The one hope.
I want you to tell me that you know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with my daughter except in her mind.
The only hope.
You tell me you know for a fact that an exorcism wouldn't do any good. You tell me that!
The Exorcist. Warner Brothers presents William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist. The Exorcist, directed by William Friedkin.